Alright, boys and girls, today we are going to be learning about the distributive property and how to relate multiplication and division together. So the first thing you're going to notice is the distributive property is it's all about breaking things apart. Dancing distributive, we're breaking everything apart. So if I gave you a problem like 70 divided by 5, well, you can't rightly do that in your head more than likely, which is perfectly fine. But we can break up this problem into two smaller multiplication problems that will in turn equal 70. And then when you add these add-ins together, you will get the quotient of this problem. So I'm going to multiply like this, using that same 5 that I got here. And I'm going to ask myself, what number times 5 gives me a number close to 5 that I know in my head? Well, personally, I know 10 times 5 in my head, which is less than 70, but pretty darn close, right? 10 times 5 gives me a product of 50. 70 minus 50 leaves me with 20 left over to get to my 70. And I know 4 times 5 equals 20. I also know 50 plus 20 equals the 70 that I was trying to originally get to, right here. So when I break it apart that way, I take my two numbers here, my 10 plus my 4 equaling 14. And if I did that correctly, this should be the quotient, the answer to my division problem, my 70 divided by 5. Ta-da! So 70 divided by 5 equals 14. Let's try another one. Let's try 102 divided by 6. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't do that in my head, but I can break up and find numbers that when multiplied together will equal 102 if I multiply them by that 6 that I got right there. That's where my 6 came from, right from my original problem. And I'm going to multiply, and eventually I will get to my end result, which I have here from my 102. So I think in my brain, 6 times what is close to 102 without going over that I know in my head? Well, I know 6 times 10 is 60, which is less than 102, but I know it in my brain. You might have a different one that you know in your brain, and there's nothing wrong with that. So from this point, what I do is I take my 102 that I started with, over on the side here, and I'm going to subtract it from the 60 that I got here to figure out what my leftovers are. So right now my leftovers are 42. 6 times what is 42? 6 times 7 is 42. And when I add these two together, I get 102. But that's not the answer to this problem. What the answer to this problem is, are these two blue numbers in my parentheses, those numbers that I found, those parts. We add those two parts together, and I get 17. So I know the quotient for 102 divided by 6 is 17. Now in 4th grade, you might have learned this method through box method division. So let's look at that. So I'm going to draw my box. Slash rectangle. And the problem that I'm going to be solving for is 52 divided by 4. That's what I want to solve. Now correct me if I'm wrong. I can relate this to multiplication by flipping it like a pancake. Some number times 4 equals 52. Hopefully we can agree that that will both give us the same answer, that these lines are both going to be the same exact number. Okay? So now I can solve this like box method. So I know my 4 is going to go here. My 52 is, I already know, is my answer. I already know the 52. I have to figure out this number up here. 4 times what is 52? Well, I don't know, but I know that I can break this box up, and I know that I eventually have to get to that 52 inside there. But I know 4 times 10 will give me 40, which is close to 52. And then I come over here if you have to. 52 minus 40 to figure out your leftovers are 12. So 4 times what number will give me 12? Oh, 3. And then I add up my top numbers, and that is my answer. That is the quotient. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Let's try one more using box method. 75 divided by 3. Again, I draw my box. I'm going to put my 3 over here because we talked about on the last problem that 75 divided by 3 is going to be the same as, I'm going to do it up here, some number times 3 equaling 75. So I'm going to think in my head 3 times what number is going to give me close to 75? I know 3 times 10. What's 3 times 10? 30. Box method tells me to put it there. Figure out what my leftovers are. Oh, but I could take another 30 out of that. So I could take another 10. 3 times 10 equals 30. Take another 30 away. 15. So 3 times what number is going to give me 15? 5. So 10 plus 10 plus 5 equals 25. And that is the answer to my division problem. You can choose either way to do this, whether you prefer the box method that I have here, where we kind of undo the box method, or if you prefer the break apart with our distributive property and the parentheses. You choose which one you prefer, but be sure to be familiar with both of them, okay? See you guys tomorrow.